Zombie plants from Panama. I know it sounds like a bad horror movie, but it's actually an exciting discovery made by Professor James Dowling and his team. They were down in Panama doing plant research and they came across this fern totally unexpectedly. And what sets this fern apart from others is that when it has a drooping, dying branch, when the branch touches the ground, it reroots, reverses course of direction on the water and nutrients and starts to suck it up from the ground and put it back into the host plant, all while looking like completely decayed vegetation on the outside, which is what led this plant to go unnoticed for so long. Professor Darling has stated that it's very poor resources in the Panamanian soil. It takes so much energy to make a branch. This is a way for a plant to recoup those energy costs when it loses a branch. What's your favorite wild plant adaptation? Let me know in the comments. Why do moths go crazy around artificial light sources? Believe it or not, it wasn't until recently that science got around to nailing down exactly what's happening with a moth and a porch light. Yash Sandhi and Sam Fabian set out to put motion cap patches on a moth and then take high resolution, high speed video capture in a lab setting, and it worked. They found that the moth would continually orientate its back to the light source. The postulation being that the stars would be always to their back. When an insect flies and turns, sometimes it can get as high as a 5G force on it, making gravity not the best way to tell what's up and down. Very simple and elegant evolutionary solution is just keep your back to the light. Artificial lights obviously get in the way of this. Now, being good scientists, they set out to the field in Costa Rica and they took some equipment that was designed to take the 3D path of a bee and they used it to capture the flight paths of these moths in the wild. And guess what? It backed up their lab findings. So now we finally cracked that puzzle. What other crazy mysteries of science would you like to see tackled next? Let me know in the comments. Where do eels come from? For thousands of years, humanity has wondered about the European eel. Going as far back as ancient Greece, people have wondered, where are their spawning grounds? Why can't we seem to tell the difference between a female eel and a male eel? Thankfully, science has given us some answers. In 1923, Captain Johann Schmidt noticed as he was sailing through the Atlantic, the closer he got to the Sargasso Sea in the Bermuda Triangle, the younger and younger and younger the eels became, tracing them all the way back to the larval eels. Fast forward 100 years later, 2018, researchers managed to put PSAT satellite trackers on some eels in the Atlantic, and they ended up, guess what? In the Sargasso Sea. So we know that eels migrate to the Sargasso Sea 3,000 to 6,200 miles. We know that one day they just wake up with this urge to do so. And when that happens, they also begin to digest their own stomachs, eating themselves alive on the way. Yeah, they die after they breed. Wild stuff. What we don't know about eels still, we don't know what triggers this migration. How fast does the average eel take to get to the Sargasso Sea, and how are they even navigating to get there? What other crazy ocean mysteries do you wonder about? Let me know in the comments. Insect Swarmaggeddon is upon us. Billions of periodical cicadas will be maturing this year from the East Coast to the Midwest. Broods 13 and 19 will have an overlapped mating season of a couple weeks in what entomologist Jonathan Larson from the University of Kentucky is calling a spectacular macabre Mardi Gras. All 7 species of cicada will be present. It's a very unique opportunity for crossbreeding and maybe even the creation of a new brood. These cicadas have a life cycle of 13 and 17 years. And the last time we had an overlap like this was 221 years ago, making this truly a once in a generation event. These cicadas spend the majority of their life on the ground as juveniles, and it isn't until the last year when temperatures reach about 64 degrees that they'll climb a tree, shed their juvenile skin, and fly off as an adult to mate, which is not the best way to spend your life 99% as a teenager and then get 4 to 6 weeks as an adult and you're done. Wild stuff. What insect creeps you out the most? Let me know in the comments. An ancient gamer arcade was discovered in Kenya. Yale archaeologist Dr. Veronica Waweru conducts her field research in the Kenyan highlands, and she got a tip that tourists were selling artifacts that they'd gotten from a private wildlife conservation area. Dr. Waweru got permission, went inside, and found 20 Mancala game boards carved directly into the rock. Mancala is a game about 8,000 years old, still played today, uses stones and pits, and it's turn-based strategy, players playing against each other. Sadly, we don't know how old this arcade is because the stone it was carved into is 400 million years old and doesn't have any organic DNA to test. However, Dr. Waweru did say that herding communities from about 5,000 years ago had left behind about 19 burial cairns in the area. So about 5,000 years is a good guess. Furthermore, marks in the rocks from knife carving imply that they were using this arcade while feasting. So sort of think of it like an ancient Kenyan Dave and Buster's. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't take that with you, sir. You have to spend your Mancala winnings here at the feast. Dr. Waweru said more funding is needed to continue research into this important archaeological site. So you're at the ancient feast. What game are you playing? Let me know in the comments.